Welcome, everybody, to the fantasy football universe. This is Jeremy Shulman at FF_Rebel. We've got below me Jesse Moeller at JMoeller05. And in the bottom square is Aaron St. Denis at FFMadScientist. Welcome to the show, guys. How we feeling?
We're off the rails, folks. We're doing great. Let me tell you.
Shut up for a sec. I gotta play the intro. Oh, I can't. You're fired. Oh my God. I switched the squares around. I didn't realize you were going to do the intro, and I started talking, and you introduced us. I don't even have the graphics set up. I was laughing so hard.
Jeremy said, fuck that. I'm taking over, baby. Let's go.
I was like, all right, let's put Jeremy up top so everyone can see him, and then he takes the intro. Oh my God, I'm dead. I freaking died. Oh, excuse me, everyone. I'll be all right. Sorry, that was I didn't see that coming. That was hilarious. All right.
Tavion Sanders, huh?
Yeah, here we go.
2024 rookie sneak peek for Texas tight end Tavion Sanders, the consensus tight end 2. This one's written by Jeremy. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com if you want to see the whole write-up. He is out of Denton, Texas. Sanders Billy Ryan High School. Where did they? Never mind. Anyways, he was a wide receiver and a defensive end in high school and was dominating on both sides of the ball. Was a 5-star recruit, ultra athletic and versatile. Sanders received offers from the top institutions in the country. Ultimately, he decided to stay close to home and become a Longhorn. After spending his first full season on special teams, Sanders has earned back-to-back first-team All Big 12 honors. That school name was a mouthful. Jeremy, you wrote this one. Do you have any more comedy here, or would you want to talk about Sanders?
No, I just need to improve my editing skills.
Why would you do?
On that one, Sanders went to Billy Ryan High School. But otherwise, nope. Big, fast.
That makes sense. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, he was okay. I think, it's so hard. I was having this chat earlier today where it's difficult with guys of this size, this tight end size who are and skill level, athleticism. They're great at catching the ball. They're great out in spaces, receivers. Not so great inline blocking. So you just wonder how they're going to be used at the next level. Sometimes you get a Sam Laporta. Sometimes you get Kyle Pitts, Dalton Kincaid. You just don't know with these guys. So landing spot's going to matter a ton.
I can't right now. I'm just I just can't do this right now. Not only does he just steal the intro, but I can't even type it in the private comments. But then he leads with "Blow me" as Jesse. Good God, that was the best intro I've ever seen. Sorry. Okay, I'll behave. I'll get this back on the rails. Jesse, what did you think of Tavion Sanders?
So this is the explicit edition, right?
We flagged on Apple, so let's just roll.
Yeah, right. No, I think he's a good player, and I think he's going to go undervalued and not talked about enough because we have the greatest tight end prospect of all time above him, Brock Bowers. So he kind of gets pushed down, and people don't really pay attention to him. But if you look, he offers the ideal skill set of what we want from tight end moving into the league. And if he is going to be doing that, which Dalton Kincaid did, I don't think he's that good of a route runner. But if he's going to push into that type of role in the NFL, then that's how you get a smash in like the late second round where he's likely going to be in drafts. So overall, I think he's a very good upside shot in this upcoming draft season.
Yeah, that was kind of my way of thinking yesterday. I said that a few times. I would rather have Sanders in the mid to late second than Brock Bowers at 104, 105, 106. I'm just not doing it. I hate using the first round pick on tight end. So I'm going to have lots of Sanders and lots of these Texas players. He's 6'4", 41st percentile. That always seems weird. And then it's like, oh yeah, tight end. So it's like 6'4". How is he only 41st percentile? But tight end. 252 pounds for 45th percentile. 20.8 years old and a junior. Obviously, not big or small. He's tight end normal, I guess. So no real concerns there with age or size, right?
Yeah, just a little small. He's just like a little bit undersized, but overall, like he's good.
Well, so what do you think normal is for tight ends? The weight I think is fine. It's maybe 6'5", 6'6", just an inch undersized.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, normal is changing, right? So we're seeing a lot of guys come in at 250 between 6'3" and 6'5". So it's normal for now, but traditionally, right, we want to see them 6'6", even 6'7", 265. But the game is different now.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
like he's a more than capable blocker. So like he's not going to be like he'll be on the field more because of that. So it's not going to be where people are talking about Kyle Pitts and those issues because he's not a capable blocker. Even though Kyle Pitts is one of the best blockers at tight end this year in the league, we'll not talk about later. But there's that assumption that player is. But if he's a good blocker, he'll get on the field, which he is. So I think he's going to play a lot starting week 1.
I feel like a lot of teams don't even care anymore. Like they'll carry a blocking tight end and a receiving tight end, and they'll run 2 tight end sets. It's not like the old days where you needed the guy to, like you said, be 6'6", 275 because he's doing both. Like not everyone's the George Kittle. I think the days of George Kittle, and you've seen you don't necessarily want that for fantasy because George Kittle type is always injured because he gets hurt blocking so damn much. So
when he doesn't run as many routes and stuff.
The fact that he's a little undersized, although I don't think it's going to take him off the field. I think he's going to block less than a typical tight end, which is good health-wise, but I don't think his blocking's good enough that he's not going to come off the field because of his blocking. So I think he could be a win-win here. So we'll get into the strengths. Good lateral movement, both in the screen game and as a blocker. He has quick feet and great hands. Exceptional yak ability and is dynamic in the open field. Fast for a tight end, which can create mismatches. And his open field blocking is solid. What stood out most to you here, Jeremy? What was his biggest?
Really quick feet. I mean, the way they're using him in the screen game is really interesting. I think he gets out there quickly. He turns around, receives the ball, and he's able to immediately turn upfield and create some space for himself that way. He didn't necessarily have super quick feet when he's cutting in his routes, but he's a bigger guy as a tight end, right? We're not necessarily expecting wide receiver level cuts out of him. He's still able to get open, and just because he's fast and pretty quick for a tight end, he's able to just get past those linebackers and some safeties. And in the NFL, is that going to hack it? I don't know. If he's up against Brian Branch and kind of this new hybrid safety nickel that they're putting on all the tight ends these days, I'm not sure. But he's certainly good enough to work open enough at the next level.
Yeah, 100%. It's like he's a side speed specimen. Like if you look at basically a RAS score, he's going to test very well because he's expected to run fast. Like he's going to be in the 4.5s more than likely. And at tight end, that's really fast. It's not like wide receiver because he's a lot thicker. So overall, his ability to use that and it's the hands. He has very good hands. Like you talk about high pointing, his ability to catch the ball, that all translates. So I think that's why more people are kind of getting bullish on him. They see the tape, they see the footage, and they're like, oh yeah, this guy could be very good at the next level.
I absolutely hate the way College Football Reference does some of these stat tables. I like having the data, it's handy. Some of them, they're really bad with red shirting. You're looking, I'm looking at 12 games, no stat line. Well, actually what it was he played in 3 games and was red shirted, and that's why he has no stat line. So was he on the sideline for 12 games? So they counted that as 12 games. I don't understand how the hell
he was, they played him a lot on special teams. I don't know exactly how many snaps he got. But he did
only
play
3 games. I can confirm it was 3 games total.
Okay.
So I don't know why they don't have 3 games and a red shirt listed. That makes no sense. And then you see guys with 12 freshman seasons, and this guy.
Can you only red shirt a certain number of guys per season?
That's true as well. That could have been the case, but either way, that 12 is not a 12. That's a red shirt season there. So
listen, you want that fast, gigantic guy hurtling down the field on special teams to go hit somebody, and he was a defensive end in high school, right? So that makes sense.
Some of his weaknesses: not a very good blocker, hard to envision an inline role at the next level. More of a developmental project than other recent top-tier rookie tight ends. Not an excellent route runner, but he is good. And production was solid, but not exceptional, especially in the red zone. What was his biggest weakness that stood out here, Jeremy?
Yeah, so the biggest thing for me is the lack of touchdowns, right? We had Adonai Mitchell getting 11 on the season. Maybe it's a Quinn Ewers problem, but you'd like to see him utilized more in the red zone. Then again, we talk about, Texas and their running game. And how they've looked the last couple of years. So can't totally fault them there. The one thing for me was the blocking. Look, he's good enough and he plays in line enough in college, right? So that's okay. But when he's up against top tier talent, if he's going to be asked to block, a Von Miller off the edge, right, it's not going to happen. So I'm a little concerned about that at the next level. It's not that his tape shows he's a terrible blocker. It's just at the next level, I don't know if he's going to take that step, and he doesn't necessarily have the size to do it. So is he going to be a blocking tight end? No. But does he get Kyle Pitts? I'm not sure.
He does, however, have 93rd percentile speed for a tight end. That's probably beneficial.
Okay.
Did you take away any weaknesses here that really stood out to you, Jesse?
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad blocker. He's capable. He can do it. But like you're talking about, if he's going up against Aiden Hutchinson's, the elite edge rushers and the big bodied guys, he's going to struggle with that just because he's still only 250 pounds. It's really hard to block the bigger ones at that size. So you have to be really strong. And that's why we're talking about George Kittle. He's not going to be George Kittle. Nobody is George Kittle. George Kittle is like a one-of-one type NFL player because he can do everything. Yeah. But overall, if he just works on that and kind of refines his route running a little bit, because he still did not get enough routes and play enough. So working on that and improving his game. So I think coming in the league, it's closer to Sam Laporta. That's what we're looking at. That's what we're hoping the route he takes. Obviously, I don't think he's as good of a player as Laporta was coming out last year, but he's going to follow that track.
Yep. We will finish it off here with where we expect him to go. Mid to late second round. That's what I was expecting. Jeremy went with Houston. Pretty much the consensus everywhere is one of either Miami or Cincy. I love both fits. I assume with your Houston landing spot is Dalton Schultz. Yep. Dalton Schultz is a free agent. Brevin Jordan is cheap. That answered my next question. Yep. I don't hate that one, especially with CJ Stroud. I probably would have preferred Miami or Cincy, but Houston, I never really considered Houston, but that's an intriguing third. Why Houston for you?
Well, Miami for me was the other consideration. And I think, you look at the way that they operate right now, there's just speed everywhere. I don't know what they need on the line as in a tight end is more speed, right? They don't necessarily, they need a big hulking guy to block. They need a George Kittle, but a George Kittle sized guy who maybe doesn't have, old school Kyle Rudolph or, one of these big hulking guys who can operate like a lineman and then just leak out in space, right? So I think a better fit is kind of upgrading the athleticism of a Dalton Schultz, even if the blocking is a bit less. Schultz wasn't a great blocker. Brevin, he's kind of like Brevin Jordan, but better than Brevin Jordan. And Brevin Jordan had some key games when Schultz was out. And so you can kind of see Sanders stepping in right away. And even if not in season one, in his second full season, once he gets his handle on the offense, potentially going off.
23% chance of going in the first round. That would be wild. I can't see that. That'd be something else. Where do you see him going, Jesse?
He needs to be in a team that needs help in the middle of the field. So I think the Miami call is actually a good one because they struggled immensely using the middle of the field because their tight ends were just straight trash and they could not do anything with them. And they didn't have a third wide receiver. They had the two wide receivers. So that, or you could put them in Carolina because Carolina tight end position is a disaster. You could do a couple of these teams that need it, like Washington. They need the boost into the offense. Because realistically, I think his skill set will fit with a lot of NFL teams because he could do a lot of everything. So he's not going to be pigeonholed into one team. So I like the Houston call. Any one of those teams is totally fine with me. That makes sense.
Yeah, Houston's growing on me, actually. Like I said, for me, it was Miami, Cincy, but Houston is a good third for me. I like that. All right, well, that concludes the eventful 2024 rookie sneak peek for Texas tight end Tavion Sanders. Head over to fantasyfootballuniverse.com to see Jeremy's full write-up and check back tomorrow for the next video in our series.
Just one more thing. For Jesse Moeller at jmoeller05 and for Aaron St. Denis at the FFMadScientist, this has been the Fantasy Football Universe is sneak peek at Tavion Sanders. Everyone, have a good night.